whether it's official or unofficial, first 30 seconds plus a minute is what you get. So in total, you get a minute and a half to make the most of the impact that you can on the client or the pitches that you're trying to make. And also it's been said that thousands of silent men are worse than one person who has this quivering voice. So even if you have this low and a quivering voice, you stand up and speak about the topic that you adore totally and you feel passionate about, it's worth taking the chance. So today's session is not about how Radha speaks. Radha has been talking for about 4 or 5 months in YI community, and I have been taking initiatives and doing my part wherever I can. When I was thinking about how to create this session so that it benefits the ones who attend, I thought of you guys, what all skills I can transfer, literally transfer it back. And that's one of the aspects of it. And the same session, if you see me conducting in the colleges, it has a little bit of a different style because one size doesn't fit all. Definitely, I believe in that strategy. And the way that I've segmented my session is where I will be talking through the slides, where I will be sharing all the tools and techniques that's required for you to utilize in the meetings that you attend, the boardrooms that you attend, all the client pitches that you make, and what are the ways you can make your speaking more appealing.
तुम कॉल पे हूँ, मैं करता हूँ.
Okay, so it's about participation, guys. You will be seeing me talking through my slides because the slides are the ones which has all the elements in it to give you a direction to prepare your speeches. But after I have done with my speaking, I would like to open it back to the participant and see that how much of the skills you are able to take it back. And then I'll do a quick evaluation and give you feedback if that time allows, and we'll see which direction everything is going. Okay. So these are the objectives of my session. By the end of the session, mostly you would know that how to make your presentation more engaging and make sure that you're connecting with the audience and not make your dialogues monologues. Because what's happening these days, everybody is designing webinars where one speaker sits and just talks like for an hour, or it just gets too much for us to absorb. And we carry a lot of different personality. So at home, we're a different person. When we go to businesses, we have this professional outlook. We have this professional attitude. So we have this different personas which appeal to different segments of the community or the places that we go to. When it comes to the public speaking or the presentation that you have to make, how well you can combine these personas together and make a perfect pitch for your customers, for your client actually, and or even for the board room meetings for your other colleagues is what we will talk about. Now, what it is to be a dynamic presenter, what are the voices, the body language, words, energy, and to begin with, anxiety and worrying and having all of, I'll address all of that. And also to know how to inclusive language, from I to we, from my to us, and that changes the entire attitude of the people that you interact. Apart from this, if you have anything in mind that you thought about that, maybe Radha can answer this. Any other objectives that you have that you want to address? I can take a note down and I'll see if I can address that. No? Okay. Before I go into this the detail of all these four the, the things that I have outlined, I'd really want all of you to write down in the chat box public speaking challenges that you as a person face. Anything. It could be anxiety, as simple as that. It could be lack of words or confidence or anything. I want to see that if I can cover or help you overcome the challenge. Write down, please. 10 people, 11 people. Okay, you don't have any challenges. Let's move on. Probably I'll address the challenges that I face day in and out, even if preparing this session and I know what I'm going to talk about and I unless I'm confident to talk about anything, I wouldn't put my name forward for it. Still, despite of having all those confidence and the level of knowledge that I have, I do get anxiety. I do get nervousness. So if I have to write and I have to go and attend anything, I would, I will share whatever I felt like when it was like I did for the first time. For your speeches, we all know it needs to be short and appealing. Title needs to be kept short and crisp, and that connects to the subject that you're talking about. I don't want to go in detail about the title because I'm sure you'll come up with something smart. Anxiety is definitely something I want to address because no matter how much you prepare, there is going to be element of anxiety, and especially for the impromptu speeches when people are pointing fingers at you and say, oh, why don't you share something, and then you like lost, really, me, what am I going to say? So how to handle your anxiety? Well, there are various ways to handle your anxiety. For the public speaking, it's all related with your vocal cord. You don't get clogged up if you've not rehearsed enough. Make sure that you use your vocal cord through some exercises. So one of the exercises that I usually recommend is just putting your hand in front and just using that opens up your vocal cord. The other element, the other exercise that I encourage others to use is called straw exercise, where you take the straw and you blow through here, and its O sound comes out. That also helps warm up your cord. If you if you fill yourself too much with the information and the knowledge and you wait until the last minute to open up, you will find choking and blockage on the stage or just in front of your presenters or whoever they are. So it's worth getting your vocal cord exercise. The second is anxiety. Your it starts reflecting on your body actually. You feel churn in your stomach. There will be a heart rate pounding up. To control, deep breathing is very important because when you breathe, don't do a shallow breathing. Breathe from your bottom of your stomach. You take a lot of oxygen inside and release. It helps bring your anxiety levels down. Whatever you're feeling inside, lots of thoughts, if don't let it come on your body. If it starts taking a toll on your body, then you lose the control on and forget about the speech then. So these are the 2 3 ways that you can calm yourself down just before you're going to speak. One of the nice things that you can do, interact with audience. When you are in a comfort zone, when you know all YI members, it's not a big deal for you to stand up and speak because you know everybody, you know where they're coming from, you know uh, what kind of background they are coming from. So try to understand your audience, arrive little early and interact with them. Vocal cord exercise I've already covered. So let's go to the next one. How to engage with your audience when you're writing down your speech. Open up. You must have everybody is watching TEDx and everybody is listening to good speakers these days and getting inspired. It's a cool thing that internet has made everything available to us. So when you open your speech with a question, how many of you are affected by this shutdown? How many of you are actually not having so good time? So yeah, open it up with a question, actually engages with the audience. Give them a fact or a figure that is appealing to them. If you tell them a fact or a figure, immediately they'll hook onto it and they want to listen to you more. Interesting thing about human beings is, on an average, 70,000 thoughts come in and out of our brain. In 1 hour, 3,000 of thought will go in and out. In 1 minute, you will experience 50 thoughts coming in your mind and going out. So to control, you are not going to stop. Even if I'm talking, and if I'm talking for 20 minutes or 25 minutes, not everybody is going to be engaged with what Radha is saying. But what is Radha's task to do is to create such things, either by asking questions, throwing in some fact or the figures, where she brings in all the attention back and gets the hold on or establish that connection with the audience. Create a scene within their mind with the word like, imagine you were stuck up there, and then let your audience move as you guide them. Open with a quote. Be the change you like to see in the world. Humor is a very good way of engaging with your audience, your participants. So these are the recommendations for you to do the opening for your speeches that you prepare to engage best with your audience. Now, this is all about public speaking, right? And even if it's for public speaking, I know there are people watching me, but I can't watch them. Unless I can't watch them, I wouldn't know that what sort of engagement I'm able to establish so far. So as a speaker, it's your duty and it's your responsibility to ensure that you establish and you maintain the eye contact. You move from the right to the middle to again to the left hand side, and you cover everybody and maintain that eye contact. And that's more possible when you have this uh, online or the classroom in classroom sessions. Now, what are the signposts? Signposts are these guided tour kind of a thing. You tell your audience in which direction you're taking them to. Before setting up any section, if you have certain expectations, you tell them this is what you expect. During this talk, I will. Like how I started, I said that the first half is going to be Radha talking, and second half is the participation, where I want to see everybody participating in. And yeah, I'll guide you further after that. So it's very important that you signpost and you talk in detail that how your entire structure is divided into right in the beginning of your speech, so that they can actually foresee after this is going to be the second is all about participation or the structural thing, and then it's about coming up with solutions. And make sure that we all engage with them by asking, does that sound right to you? Are you okay with this? And then you get few of the hands up or thumbs up. Yeah, questions are very important element of anybody's speech. Unless you ask questions, you don't know if you've been able to establish the connection, or if the audience is engaged with you or not. So don't forget to ask questions. If you are one of the good speakers and if you're confident about the topic that you're talking about, take the questions as you move along. Don't pile them until the end of the day. So until the end of the session, there are going to be two ways. One is you stack all of your questions by the end of the session and address them together, or you could take them as you move along. I would recommend that you do both ways and ask the questions that are relevant to the session. So here I'm going to take few pause and say, do you have any questions so far that I can answer? I can't see you all. Everybody's screen is black. So if you have, you just need to unmute yourself and ask a question if you have. Otherwise, I'll move.
Should we just have a more, buy answer questions like how many people of you have had a drink? So raise your hands, something like this, or would it be questions which require elaborate answer?
It really depends that what is it that you're trying to get from your audience. So if it's a humor element, and if it is a general connection that you're trying to establish, then a drink question is fine. But if it's more of a concrete answer that you want, then please ask related to the subject.
And I mean, just
Answer. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it's sorry, it's about you asking, it's them asking you a question, right?
yeah. I mean, or maybe even
Them
I, if I
asking you.
want a question to the people.
Yeah. So
Yeah. And
repeat that again, Hamad.
so do we? So if I want to ask questions to the audience, I mean, what is the best way to go about it? I mean, there are times when you don't get an answer, and how to deal with that.
Save. Okay, so save questions in advance that you have experienced from your previous sessions. So some of the relevant questions that you have already have had faced, encountered, right? Not everybody is participative enough. So you save some of the questions for your session, and then you say that one of the questions that one of my participants asked in the session was how to deal with the anxiety in the public speaking, and then you address it. So you throw in your question and answer it yourself. Or you can other way also, if you know a colleague, give that colleague a list of questions and keep it aside as a backup and say that, this is something you can ask. Yeah, people do that. People do that. I've seen
Basically,
it happening. Yes, 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 it happens.
good.
So one of the questions that I get, um the challenge is, Radha, I'm not sure if I know enough. I always have this fear that I don't know enough, and that stops me from speaking. And to that, my answer would be, you will never know enough, because the day you will know enough, your learning is going to come to an end, and there will be no growth trajectory in your career. So it's a good fear to have, not knowing enough. Come up with your own questions that you have experienced, file them. And yeah, if you have that genuine concern, I mean, you take a help of one of your colleagues and give. Does that answer your question,
Yeah,
Hamad?
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to the next segment. Dynamic presenter. All of YI members are, everybody is dynamic. More the certain element is good in other person and certain in other people, and we're all dynamic. It's just that knowing what it makes a good speaker, which influences others, it comes handy, and it is useful. It doesn't disqualify you from being a speaker. It just makes you more influential. So what are the things you need to completely avoid? For girls, usually we just use this, and we take a, we start when we're self-conscious, we put our hand in hair, completely a no, because you're conscious about yourself and you're putting your hand in hair. Itch. Don't do this. Yeah, I was thinking about that. So that's like, not being very sure. It doesn't come across as a confident, or it doesn't create a good impression on your participants. Hands in the pocket is something that I've noticed in gentlemen, and I definitely would recommend, don't do this. Don't don't do this. It's just a complete no-no. And we all know that this is a defensive style of communication. We don't fold our hands, we open and we talk, or we use uh, open hands. And usually, hands up is considered to be more of the trustworthy, where your wrist is upward, and hands down is more of a controlling, where you're talking like this. And when I went, I had a beautiful experience at our national event. But when you open your palm up or your hands up and you use this is more of a trustworthy signage. Eye contact, I've already said, without maintaining eye contact, obviously nothing is going to, work for you. During the questions that you asked, raise your own hand. How many of you have been to France? And how many of you haven't been to France? So that those who haven't been to France actually make them feel part of you. It's not about you. That's a first thing, first qualification a speaker needs to understand. It's not about the speaker, it's not about you, it's about them, it's about your participant, it's about the audience. If you can feel for them, and if you can transfer and be honest with what you're trying to give back, everything will fall in place perfectly. So authenticity is something needs to reflect through your speeches, through the gestures that you make, with the words that you speak. Voices and tone, it people carry their own voice, people have their own tone and their own style. Some people have accents. I am somewhere in between England and India. I lived in England and worked there for 10 years, so I still get carried away with my British accent, but I bring it back to Indian style. So I, when I'm in flow, it's somewhere in between, but that's how it is. And I've accepted it. And I don't bring that as a hindrance or a barrier in front of me. So that's my tone of it. The voice modulation is very important. Where you want to emphasize, take a long pause. Where you don't want to emphasize, you just go with the flow. Smile is very important. Just carry this beautiful smile, and you just, even if you don't know some of the answers, some of the things that you can't address, honestly accept it, and people will actually accept it rather than you know, making it up, or making up a story. People won't. There's People are very smart. And one of the very interesting facts I'd like to share with all of you is, out of 100% audience, 10% are going to be super smart. They would know more than you. Intellectually, they would know more than you. But that shouldn't be the stopping criteria for you to not participate. What is the worst that's going to happen? They're just going to throw in one question, and if you can't address that, keep it for the last. That shouldn't come between you and the person. Be authentic self, keep smiling, and share the knowledge that you have. Okay, words, words that all I have. Yeah, repetition of something actually gets registered in human brain because of the nature of brain, is set in a way that it allows you to remember what's been said repeatedly. If there are any things that you want your people to remember, make sure that you repeat right from the beginning and keep throwing in that word every interval. And they'll go back with that word and they'll register it in their head. Interesting vocabulary, yes, of course, it's very important, but I wouldn't give it much of a weightage. I'll tell you why in my next slide. And keep your speech jargon free. Make it simple, absolutely simple. It shouldn't have any complication. Anyway, it's a speech. Anyways, it has anxiety. It's all about passion and how much you care about the topic that you're talking. So make it jargon free. Keep it interesting vocabulary. With the years of experience that you've built, yes, you will have it, but not necessarily you're going to be a language expert who brings in, the most beautiful phrases or the sentences. Here's the interesting fact by Dr. Albert Mehrabian. It's called communication cycle.